Welcome back to the day two session, and it's the session two of day two. I'm very excited for everyone that has joined us so far. Sorry, we started a little bit late. You would agree with me that from our last session, we had an amazing time speaking with Maria and Love. And now I'm back with the amazing Crystal and the money maverick Segun for me. Today, we are going to be discussing everything about the science of money. I'm going to do my best to tailor it to why it's important for you to see your business as a business. Number one, for it to be a business, you have to be making profit. And you also have to understand that for you to be useful in your business, you also have to be able to take care of yourself financially. We would agree that financial freedom is something that is important in our individual lives and for our businesses. So, if we've not met, my name is Clementina Busayo. If you are watching the replay or you are joining us live on this call, I would like for you to please tell us your name, your location, and any other thing you would like us to know about you. If you have questions, please do feel free to drop them. And if you are watching the replay, please also feel free to do the same. I am an Usherpreneur, and I'm also the founder of Glorious Wheels Ushering Services. And the reason I've decided to host this Usherpreneur Summit is primarily to teach the business of ushering. If you're with me yesterday, you will know that this Usherpreneur Summit also featured my book launch, which is titled The Profitable Usherpreneur: How to Start and Grow a Profitable and a Successful Ushering Business. And if you would like to buy the book, the details is within this particular session, and you can also download the free chapter of the book. And I'm going to be bringing up my very first guest today. Her name is Crystal. I'm going to allow her just introduce ourselves to us before we dive into the discussion about the science of money. So please, if we are not talking, please let's be sure to mute our mics so that there will be no feedback. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Clementina, for that amazing introduction. I hope that you can hear me okay. Unfortunately, I had to switch locations because the internet in my hotel where I am in Mexico is just completely unreliable. So forgive my background and any background noise. But my name is Crystal. I was born and raised in southern Alabama in a very rural town called Ozark, and I was raised on public housing. So that's like government assistance giving to people who live below the poverty level. And my mother raised me and my 9 other siblings as a single mother when I was 11 and my dad passed away from cancer. And I currently attend Yale University, where I am completing my doctoral degree in public health. And I am also a published author. And my book, Crystal Clear: A Journey of Self-Discovery from Public Housing to Ivy League, reached #1 bestseller on Amazon this past March. So thank you. I'm very grateful for that. And I'm very grateful just for the opportunity to share this space with you, Clementina and Segun Fami. Sorry if I mispronounced your name, but thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for giving us that introduction, Crystal. Shego for me, please, can we meet you?
Okay. Hello, everyone. I hope we can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Okay, that's good to hear. So my name is Funmilola Segun. As so, it's the Segun Fumi is just a short one. So the name is Funmilola. My first name, my surname is Segun. I'm Nigerian, born in Lagos, Nigeria, raised in Lagos, Nigeria. I work in a financial institution, First Bank of Nigeria Limited. So I'm currently a relationship manager, sales advisor. So basically, I'm a sales girl. I sell products. I sell the bank's products and services. Okay, so I pitch sales and I ensure that the sale is completed. So that's basically what I do, so that the bank can make more money. So that's it.
And wow, thank you so much for that introduction, Shego, for me. I'm so excited to have you both, partly because the essence and the end result of sales is that we can drive profit, income, generate revenue, whatever grammar we want to use. It's just that the money comes in. So I would like for both of you to take us back in your money journey before you became really aware of life. What was your money relationship like? Like, I for one used to see my mother write out the list of everything in the house. Then she would assign like $10 for gas, $20 for feeding, $2 for my kids to go to school, and all of that. So somewhere in my mind, I just knew that you should put out money for everything. But that was my relationship with money. And as I was growing up, all I needed to say was, I need this, and I got it. So I never knew lack of money, because nobody complained to me that there was no money. So please, ladies, tell me what your relationship with money was when you're growing up, and we'll take you from there. Segun, for me, please, could you start?
Okay. So for me, my relationship with money is a bit different from what you have shared. So before I started working and earning for myself, okay, so I told you earlier I grew up in Lagos, born and bred in Lagos. And then, unlike yourself, that you felt you didn't know that there was lack, I actually knew that there was lack. I knew I so for me, I was raised mainly by my father. Okay, maybe that was it. By single father, my sister and I. And so we knew when there was lack. He was very open. And so we saw him struggle. We saw the struggle. We saw what it meant to hustle to get money. We saw what it meant to work hard to get money. So my father was actually a hard worker. He's late, God bless his soul. He was a hard worker. He used to work in Savannah Bank just like myself. He used to work in a bank, but Savannah Bank, defunct Savannah Bank. And the bank went south, went down, and he started his own business. We knew lack, as at the time he stopped working in the bank. We knew what it was. And so he explained things to us. We knew that, okay, there was no money. He was very open. And we knew what it meant to set priorities. For me, that was how it started. So my father would let us know, this is it. We have 10,000 naira. We're broke. Okay. And this is what we have to do. He was very open. Okay, I took this contract, I took this job, I made 10,000 from this. He was very open. And he would let you know that, okay, so we're setting priorities. What is the priority? What is it we need to do? What is the important one? You need to pay for this. You need to pay for this. You need to do this. So we knew that there was lack. We knew that we didn't have enough. We knew that there was opportunity cost. We knew that. So that's why I learned that, okay, so no matter, I didn't have to be rich. So in the midst of all of that, we had what we needed to have, even though we understood that we didn't have a lot. We understood that we don't have enough. But we were able to sort out what needed to be sorted. So when the money is made and it earns money, it would let us know, this is what I've made from this and this, and what is it we need to do. The things that are not important, we push them aside. The things that are important and not urgent, we push them to when we push them aside and treat the things that are important and need to be sorted out now. So for me, that is it. And I learned setting priorities from there. I learned that, okay, sometimes you don't have all the money you need. You just need to channel what you have into the right things, the things that are priority at the time. And so when I grew up and I started earning my own money, the same energy I channeled into, spending. So that's basically, in summary, my relationship with money before I started earning mine. Clementina, are you there? So I think she's probably having some challenges.
There might be some technical difficulties, but I can go into my response until she's able to get back. And just like you, Fumi, I also experienced a very similar experience with money, with there always kind of being like this barrier with it. So for me, being raised in public housing, as you can imagine, there was this significant appearance of lack when it came to money and income. So I remember like asking my parents for money for like snacks or like books for school, and they would say like, "Oh, I don't have it," or "It was never enough." And so my relationship with money was actually very skewed and very difficult growing up. But when I got older and I started reading books like Rich Dad Poor Dad, The Science of Getting Rich, The Millionaire Next Door, like these books actually built my financial literacy. And so now I'm able to live a life where I have everything that I need. And I'm still working to generate more passive income. And what that means is just money that you make while you sleep. So money that you actually don't put in time for, it's money that you put in value for. So like creating products like a book or online courses or stuff like that, that those types of things build passive income. And so my goal is to be able to financially retire by the time I'm 30. And what that means is being able to generate enough passive income to where I can actually focus on doing the things that maybe don't generate a lot of passive income, like speaking engagements, stuff like that, which not saying that you can't, but like I want to be able to spend more time creating and less time focusing on trying to generate financial stability because it's already there. Um, so it's definitely changed since I was a little girl to where I am now, and I'm grateful for my experience as a little girl. But as I was talking with you about before the show, Clementina, that this is an active part of my journey right now, is breaking those limiting beliefs around money and lack, because we both know that money is abundant. And once you realize that, like having that awareness comes first, and then breaking down those old paradigms in your mind about money being in limited supply is how you generate more income and being able to create value for the products or the services that you're willing to give to help people.
Thank you for saying that. And one of the things we realize that keeps coming up in our conversation is mindset. And I would say this, that until I started earning, I did not really realize that there was lack. Like I said, my mother did a good job of providing me virtually everything I needed, even if it was not convenient. So as I began to spend my money and I saw that my money was not, like, it was not okay and it was not enough to take care of all my needs, I began to question myself that, oh, how did she do it? What did she do? And how did she manage to give me everything she gave, despite not having as much as I have? Because I want to argue that I earn better than my, at least my mom, but she was able to provide everything like that. And why I wanted us to bring this conversation forward in the Usherpreneur Summit is because I understand that a lot of people start their business, and like you're saying, like you have this goal to be able to retire by the time you're 30 and create passive streams of income for yourself. So one of the reasons why we create businesses, create online courses, write a book, is because in the long run, we want to be able to generate income from it. And so I really want to say thank you for highlighting the fact that mindset is very important. And one of the things you touched on financial education. So take us through that process. Because somebody recommended to you that you should get educated financially, or there was something that happened to you, like did somebody pass in the family for you to realize that, oh, now I need to start taking my financial journey very seriously? How did that awareness of financial literacy, how did it come to you?
That's a really good question, because it was definitely a series of events that kind of led up to it. So, in my book, I talk about how I received over $670,000 in scholarship awards. And by the time I made it to my PhD, I didn't know where most of that money went. I mean, obviously, the majority of it went towards my education, but I was getting like really good, really big refund checks, which is like money that was going to my bank account when I was an undergrad, but I did not spend it wisely because I obviously have no idea where it was. And so by the time I made it to my doctoral degree, I was lacking, and I was begging the school for more money to be able to support myself as a student and as a single woman. And so it was just like, okay, like there's obviously something going on here with my financial literacy. And so I need to figure out what do I need to do so that I'm never in this financial situation again to where I have to beg people for more money so that I can live. And so when I started reading these books, they talked about how most millionaires actually live below their means. And so that's why moving to Bali was such a great leap for me, because everything that I did was online. And if I could live anywhere in the world, I wanted to live somewhere where I could live below my means, but I was also, my quality of life wasn't compromised. So I'm still able to enjoy life and be surrounded by nice things and a nice life, but I'm not paying so much just to get by so that I can focus on my education. And when I moved to Bali, my mental health was amazing because I wasn't stressed out about how am I going to eat, how am I going to pay my rent. I could just focus on my education, and it was the best semester I had because my grades, I had perfect grades and I didn't work as hard, which was a huge blessing. So it was honestly just a series of realizing that I didn't really like the financial situations that I was in. So I was very uncomfortable. I was struggling. And then it was also the knowing that I could do something about it. I could educate myself, because education, the application of education, is how you move up. That's how your awareness expands. And so that's kind of what got me into financial literacy, and just recognizing that I wasn't taught proper money management habits as a child, because we didn't really have a lot of money to manage. I mean, we had everything we needed. My parents shielded me and my siblings from a lot of adversity that you would face being raised in public housing. But I definitely just felt that sting still from not being able to maybe live in a house that was that I felt was appropriate for me and my so many siblings. Like always having to share a room with two of my sisters and never really having like my own space. It was just, we were always like living on top of each other. It felt, even though there was so much love, and my parents really did well. They did a really great job raising us, and I'm so grateful for my parents and the sacrifices they made. But I still needed to educate myself, and so that's why financial literacy seemed like the best next step in my journey.
Wow, that's amazing because I can relate to the fact that our parents shielded us from what would have been our experiences. But unlike you, when I got to realize that there was a huge problem, was I was a good saver. So I'd always learned to save my money. I managed my father's business, I managed my mother's business, and I would track all the money. Where is the money going? This is what we're using for restock. Except that I lost my money to a major investment, and it was like I went from 100 to zero. And so I began to think to myself, how did I make a decision that threw me from 100 to zero? Now, one of the things you would, or people would come to agree, is that when you save money, it takes you a long period of time to save it. But when you lose money, you can lose it like in the fraction of a second it took you to save it. And if you would need to repeat that process, you understand that it takes you a longer time to get back to where you actually stopped at. So I really want to say thank you for throwing more light on that. And for me, when it came to education, I just knew that I needed to understand what I did wrong so that I could make better decisions. So one of the things I want you to talk about, because I've read that part of your book, and I also wrote about it in my book, where in the chapter where I titled Beyond Borders, I said that beyond borders means looking out for opportunities outside of your current location to further your intent, your cause, and your purpose. So for me, growing my business, like coming up with international clients, one of the ways I did that was because I got into international fellowships. And I think that was one of the things I told you about, because I could really connect to your story. One of the international fellowships I got into was Young African Leaders Initiative by Barack Obama, and it was fully sponsored. So I got into that fellowship, it was sponsored, and I was still paid for attending the fellowship. And it changed the way I did my business. But you have more experience in this space. You've gotten over, I know that it's not one, it's not two, it's not three scholarships. So walk us through the process of how you doubled down, because I know that people sit in their homes wishing that the opportunities to come to them. But reading your book, I saw that you had to do a lot of things and position yourself in a way that if you applied for 50, at least one will come true. So if you're looking for 5 opportunities, that means you must have applied for at least between 100 to 250 opportunities. Can you talk to us about that, please?
Oh, thank you so much. That's actually a really good point because one of the reasons why I wrote my book was because so many people were messaging me, like girls that I didn't know who went to my high school or from my hometown, and they were like, "I want to, go to school. I want this scholarship, and I want to do ROTC, but you make it look so easy." And like I kept getting those messages, like, "Oh, you make it look so easy," and I guess like maybe it was my ego being a little scratched, like they don't see all that work that you put in, or maybe it was just me feeling guilty for the opportunities that I received being a scholarship recipient. But I really wanted to let people like know what goes on behind the scenes. So getting over $670,000 in funding required me to every day apply for scholarships. Like every day when I was a high school senior, I was in my public library because I didn't have internet at home. So I had to go to the public library in order to apply for these scholarships. I went to guidance counselors, I went to teachers, I was asking for help with writing my essays. And like I said, you had to make a sacrifice. And so I applied for over 30 and I got 5, but that means that I was rejected from at least 25 applications, which hurt. And but every time I would get one rejection letter, I would apply for like 2 more. And so I didn't really let it distract me from what my goal was. And my goal was to complete my degree, my undergrad degree. And now, God has allowed me to pursue my PhD, which is a dream come true and something I never imagined for myself. But you don't have to see the whole stairway in order to take the first step. Sometimes what's required of you is enough faith in order to take one step towards your goals, and then everything else will be revealed to you on your journey. Um, so yeah, getting those scholarships took me actually applying. Like no one could apply for me. I had to write all the essays myself, but I went to educators and I asked them to edit it for me, or I asked people like what would they be looking for. So I had to do like over 200 hours of community service and stuff like that. So I was putting in the work behind the scenes, but I didn't really talk about it when I was in undergrad and most of my graduate career because I don't know, I guess I was ashamed of needing scholarship money to actually go to school, because most people that I went to school with, their parents could afford their education, but obviously that wasn't the case for me.
Wow. One of the things you just said now that struck me is that for every one time you got rejected, that meant 2 more applications. And I really want to say this because this is the Usherpreneur Summit. What we are saying to people that are starting their ushering businesses is that you pitch, you send out portfolios, but the fact that you get rejected once is the reason why you should send out 2 more. And if I heard you correctly, you said every day you sat to actually do one application. And here I want to really say that it's important that you pitch yourself, because I read the details of how you applied for one of those scholarship, and it was just pitching yourself the way the client wants to see you. What we need to understand here is that it's not really about who you are or what you want. It's about speaking the language of who would be listening to you. So you must learn their language, what is important to them. And I'm very grateful you talk about community service, because I know that there will be people who would watch this video to say that, oh, I've not started my business, I don't even know where to start. So you can start by organizing your friends events and showing up with the type of ladies that you know that when people see, they would love them. Take beautiful pictures and put it out there, and you can say to other people that, oh, I was the one that managed this particular event for this person, and this is what I can do for you. I can make sure, yeah, that your event is well taken care of, and so on and so forth. And I really want to say thank you for sharing your story, because I know that a lot of people that will get to see this would be inspired to actually take their journey seriously. So now I want us to move from the money conversation to the actual saving. One of the things you mentioned on this call is that you had to make a decision not to compromise on your lifestyle, but to reduce your spending. And what that decision landed you to do is moving from United States to Bali. That's miles apart. Did you think that that was a function of confidence or courage? And did you have resistance to that particular decision? Like, did people say no to you, you cannot do that, or did you take the decision without telling people and got to Bali to tell people that, oh, now I'm in Bali? Could you share that experience with us, please?
Yeah, of course. So that whole process was something that was it felt completely divine. So I started stepping into my shoes or wearing the shoes as an entrepreneur last November. So November 2020 is when I decided like I'm going to show up as an entrepreneur and as a business owner, as a coach, as an author, and I'm just going to do it like no matter what. And in the beginning of that process, I met another coach through a mastermind called the Get Ahead Challenge, and he basically wanted to do a free coaching call with me. And during this coaching call, he was like, okay, let's start with the guided meditation. And I had done guided meditations in the past, but never really like live guided meditations. And so during the meditation, it was like, where do you see yourself living? And I don't remember if he said in the next 5 years. I think he just said, where do you see yourself living? And when I closed my eyes, I started to see like banana leaves appear, like it was a jungle. I saw myself living in like this bamboo house thing. And I was like, So like after I got out of the meditation, he asked me about it. I was like, I think I was living in a jungle, but I don't know any jungles, especially in the United States. So I don't know where that was. And then after the call, I ended up Googling, like, I don't know what I put in the Google search engine, but the first place that showed up was Bali, Indonesia. And the more research I did on Bali, the more I realized that this is exactly where I needed to be. So there were a lot of digital nomads, which is people who basically they own online businesses or they work online, so they earn income by providing online services. And these people live in Bali, Indonesia, because the cost of living is so cheap and the quality of life is still high, and so they're able to live in this place and still work and make income. Online without taking from the Balinese people, but also giving it to the economy of the Balinese people, because Balinese people run on like 70% tourism. And so I decided that I was just going to make this leap. I didn't tell anyone, but I sold my TV. That was the first thing that went because I needed to focus on finishing my book and I needed the extra income. So I sold my TV, my couch, my bed. Like, I don't know if you saw like my studio apartment tour, but I had everything in my apartment the way I wanted it. I had like a nice balcony. Like, it was finally like a place. And I was like, I'm going to be in New Haven for the next 4 years, finishing my degree. Like, this is where I want to be. But I gave it all up and I decided that I wasn't going to tell anyone. And I finally decided to tell my mom because I didn't want her to worry when I just disappeared. And when I told her, she was just like, okay, like she supported me. And that's when I knew I was going in the right path because my mom is very intuitive. And so I know that if something was waiting for me that wasn't good, she would have already felt it and known. It's like one of those things like mothers know best. And I know my mom has always wanted the best for me and she's always seen the best for me. So when she saw that Bali was a good choice for me, it just confirmed that I was going to make this leap and that things were going to work out for me. And I was very terrified. So I didn't do this process without any fear, but I wasn't going to allow the fear to hold me back because what I saw for myself was financial freedom. And whatever stood in between me and that point, I had to overcome. And so that's why moving to Bali made the most sense because it was like I could pay off all my credit card debt because I lost my jobs during COVID. Yeah, jobs with an S, because they were all in customer service and I was working as a waitress, like busting my butt just trying to survive. And they were all gone. So I had no income. And I was spending almost 2 grand a month just from living expenses alone. And I was only getting paid around 3 grand a month as a student. So that was like 1 grand, give or take, for like just food and like other things, personal items, which really goes like this. Um, so I decided that moving to Bali, the fear didn't really keep me from that. And I moved by myself and I was terrified. But after about 3 or 4 weeks in Bali, my whole life completely changed. Not just my financial situation, but also my spiritual and mental situation was so much better because I was learning so much about other people and other cultures and about myself. And the Balinese people were so inviting. And my identity went from one of a person, a black, female living in lack, to a black female who's being celebrated for her differences and being just exploring. Like, people just accepted me for who I was, and it didn't matter what I looked like or what background I came from. Like, no one attached those labels to me. Those labels stayed in the United States. And so that's when I realized that your identity is actually really malleable. Like, you can change your identity so quickly. And so yeah, it was just one of those things. Like, I just had to do it. It felt like it was life or death.
I'm so glad that you had to touch on the fact that you were a waitress and the effect of COVID-19 actually amplified how fragile that aspect of your work was, and it actually completely applies to us. I remember that in the test sessions I was saying that I we had raised our prices just before COVID-19 started, and considering the fact that as a major aspect of our business is delivering physical services at events, the COVID-19 coming in just showed that that was not the only way we could do business. So I remember that I had to send out messages to all the clients we're supposed to have. And I told them that, okay, you know what? I'm going to build your wedding website for you. And all you have to do is this. If you're interested, write to me back and I'll be happy to just tell your story, the love story of how you met. And that change the earning patterns for us, even despite the fact that we had to do a lot of refunds to people that had paid upfront. So I really want to say thank you to you for sharing that and for letting us know that it is important for you to make conscious decision to support your financial freedom. And I really want to really say thank you because you mentioned selling your TV, because one of the things that I realized that we battle with in this age is distraction. There is social media, there's Netflix, there's Showmax, like there is a lot of things, and to add TV to that. So taking out some things in your life might be necessary for you to get to your next level. So tell me, now that you made this shift, moving from US to Bali, and you saw that your expenses dropped radically and you were able to maintain the standard like of living you had envisioned, which is the importance of having a vision. What did you do with the excess? Because sometimes it's not like we are not earning more, not that our businesses is not bringing in money, but if there is something wrong with what we are doing with the excess, we will still always go back to where we were previously. So what did you do with the excess fund, and how has it changed your financial status now?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So, as I mentioned previously, I the first thing I did was pay off my debt. So, I had acquired extreme credit card debt since the pandemic began. And so, one thing I did is I started paying off my credit cards month by month. And so now I was financially free, which meant that my credit score went up and I could, apply for bigger loans whenever I needed a bigger investment. The second thing I did was invest it back into my business. So when I published my book, I wanted to make sure that I had my book in all three formats. So I wanted audiobook, I wanted to have it in ebook and also audiobook. So I used the excess funds to actually make my book into different formats. And then I also invested into a coach. So someone to help me and walk me along this author journey. And then I recently just invested in a business coach as well. So everything, all the excess money has been put back into investments. So investments pay dividends. And to me, my biggest investment right now is myself. So I invested all the excess money back into myself and my growth and my awareness.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I
Oh,
can hear you now.
oh, thank you. So you invested back in yourself. And I think at this point it's important for us to realize that when we want the best out of something, we have to give back by feeding that particular thing. So if you want your business to grow, you have to reinvest in your business. So if you're an ushering agency out there trying to start, you can start with free tools such as Google My Business to list your business and all of those things, but you realize that when you want to scale, you might need to get a professional photographer, you might need to start pitching to bigger clients and opportunities, and that would require that you invest something. And at this point you said that the greatest investment is you. So could you tell me why it is important for us to invest in ourselves as a person? Like, why is that important at all?
Yeah, that's a good question. When I first began the entrepreneur journey, someone said to me, a coach said to me, nothing you do in life grows unless you do. So if you don't take
Oh,
time to expand your awareness and your mindset, nothing that you touch will grow. You'll see how you have people who end up making, so much money and they end up with these businesses and then they lose it or they just don't know how to maintain it. And that's mostly because they didn't really take the time to really grow their awareness and their mindset and develop themselves. So I just believe that if you want to grow, grow your inner world first, because nothing on the external world is actually, it's all a reflection of who you are. So if you
Yeah.
expand your mindset and the possibilities of honestly just like what's achievable for you, then it doesn't matter if you have a bunch of money and you lose it all, you can get it right back, because you are the one that this is flowing from. It's all because of you. And so that's why it's important to develop an abundant mindset.
Wow. Thank you. At this point, I would like to say that from this discussion, it's very obvious that your business, your life, you can, whatever you have cannot grow more than the value you commit to yourself. So the decision starts with you to be a better person, and it's important for you to address your mindset appropriately. One of the ways you can do that is by reading books, looking at people who have gone ahead of you. Somebody said success leave clues. That means if there are people that have been successful in what you want to do, model their example. Look at where they're hanging out. Who are their coaches? Who are they following online? I say it every time that the relationships I've had online have translated to something better. Imagine I'm here with Crystal today because I decided to write my book. I met Crystal in a book group where it was an author's challenge, and she was talking about her book. So imagine if I did not develop myself to say, oh, I want to write my book. That means I missed out on an opportunity to be here today speaking with you. So as we close out on these sessions, I hope you have been able to see that, number one, the limitation you have is the one you have placed on yourself. And as you begin your journey, you will realize that what you need would meet you on the way. But the dangerous thing to do is to allow fear to stop you. So you're better off making a mistake by trying than not trying at all. And I really want to say thank you to Crystal for taking out time out of our busy schedule to talk to us. So Crystal, in a moment, tell us about your book, and I'm going to ask you one more question and we'll be off from here.
Definitely. And before I get into the last question, I just want to thank you for allowing me to share this space with you, because you don't realize it, but when I got your email, I literally did like a happy dance, because you were just so professional in your reach out, and I knew that this was something that I
Wow.
wanted to get behind. So I just want to thank you for even considering me.
Thank
And
you.
it does, like, I agree with you 100%. Like, if I would have never convinced myself that this book was greater than me and that it wasn't about me, but the lives that I wanted to impact, I would have never did it either, and we would never be having this conversation, and I wouldn't have met such a beautiful soul like you. So thank you all the way. And you said you live in Nigeria,
Yes, I live in Lagos, Nigeria.
and I've never even visited before, so it's just like, just global, like, recognition, like a global connection means so much. But I guess, like, my book was about just highlighting my academic journey from where I started in rural Alabama in public housing to where I am now at Yale University. And I just wanted to highlight everything that it took to get to this place of success. And to me, success doesn't mean how much monetary value you have, so how much money you make. To me, success is, do you know who you are, and are you aware of the value that you are bringing to this world, and do you have goals, and do you achieve those goals? So I decided that I was going to talk about my success story, because I felt successful. I felt like God allowed me to get to a place in my life where I had everything I needed to make an impact, and that means so much to me,
Mhm,
to be able to give back. And to
mhm,
share my gifts with those who need it. And so that's what I wrote about in my book. I talked about my experience with childhood trauma from watching my dad die from cancer. I talk
mhm,
about the getting my heart broken and how that led to, like, my greatest discovery of self. And I just talk
mhm,
about, like, my experience as a African American at an Ivy League student, at an Ivy League school. So it's honestly just like everything about my journey so far at age 25, because that's when I finished my book. And
Wow.
what's next?
Wow. Wow. Thank you. So the title of Crystal's book is Crystal Clear. And where can we find your books if we want to buy them, please?
Yeah, so you can find Crystal Clear, A Journey of Self-Discovery on Amazon. If you just
Okay.
type in Crystal Clear, A Journey of Self-Discovery, it'll pop up. And right now, the available formats are ebook and paperback. And my audiobook was actually completed last night, so I'll be announcing my audiobook. Thank you. So it'll be officially in all three formats.
Wow, I will be happy to jump on the paperback. The title of my book is Profitable Entrepreneur: How to Start and Grow a Successful Business, and is currently available on Amazon in ebook format. So I'll be happy to talk to you about how I can get my paperback and my
Of
audiobooks
course.
live on that platform. Let's change the world together. I'm
Yes.
very grateful to you for coming.
And
Thank you so
and
much.
oh, go ahead. I was just gonna say, whenever you start launching a book, let me know, and I'll like I can send you my email or just send me like a link, and I'll join your launch team. And so when your book releases, I'll buy it and read it and leave a review for you.
Oh, thank you so, so much.
You're
You are
welcome.
amazing. Thank you. I do not take that for granted. And I want to encourage everyone watching this and who will still yet watch this. Please feel free to reach out to Crystal. Like, she's only home. And she responded to my email almost immediately. I'm sure that she will be happy to put you through, especially when it comes to the area of scholarships. Crystal, can you tell us about Crystal Innovation, the work you do with Crystal Innovation? I think it's important for people to know that that resource is available and how they can connect with you on that platform.
Yeah, so if you would like to find more about my coaching services, so I
Mhm.
typically just coach students and help them navigate through higher education. So if that means if you need help applying for graduate school or undergrad, or if you need help applying for scholarships, or if you just need some advice for if you're already in college and you need some guidance, I also do that. And you can find that on crystalclearinnovation.com, and just go to my services page, and you'll be able to complete a contact form, and or you can just reach out to me on Instagram at Crystal Harrell underscore, or email at tamara95@yahoo.com, and I'll respond to you.
Wow. Thank you for putting that out there. I'm super grateful to have you. Thank you for sparing time out of your busy schedule to be here. I can say thank you a million times.
Thank you.
One
I'm
of
just so sorry for my background. The next time we do this, I promise, like it'll be a better background, more stable internet, and we'll do it. I promise.
one of the conversations I wanted us to have is about your time in the military, but I'm going to save that for another time so that I'll be able to send you an invite
Yes, I
for
would love.
another conversation. These sections have been powered by Glorious Views Ushering Services. My name is Clementina Busayo. I'm an entrepreneur. I teach the business of ushering. So if you like to start your ushering business, or you've started your ushering business and you need guidance, please feel free to reach out to me. My Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn handles are Clementina Busayo. And you can just send me an email using the details, or click the link to my website using the details in the body of this particular video. Today, I've had the pleasure of having amazing guests from Maria to Love. And here with me is Crystal, and we had Segun Fumi join us and tell us about her story. With Segun Fumi, we learned that she was raised by her dad. She saw what it means to lack funds, but she pulled it through, because from Segun Fumi, I personally learned how to do what I call marathon saving. So marathon saving means when you have windfalls, that is the time for you to save two times more. So if you were doing, let's say, 20% of your income in savings, by the time you have windfalls, you should move that 20% to actually 50%, so that once the windfall season is over, you can spread across the excess along other times. So if you need to know more about what we do, I would encourage you to follow. Krista is also on Facebook. Activities are very common on Facebook. You can follow her, ask her questions. Please feel free to reach out to us. We are showing up to show the next generation what is possible. And I want you to know that it's not because we are perfect, but because we have decided to own our story, tell our stories the way we want it to be told, and change lives. Even if it's one life, we are happy to change and to be a part of the processes in your life. Thank you so much, Crystal. Do you have any other word for us?
I don't. I just want to thank you again and your entire audience for having me. Thank you.
Thank you to our viewers. From me and Crystal is going to be Bye for now. See you at the next Usherpreneur Summit. Bye.